Hello, I'm Darren Magee, and today's questions are asking, what is a communal narcissist? What would the signs of communal narcissism be? So in this video, I'm going to outline what communal narcissism is. I'm going to look at it from a low level up to a high level, but I'm also going to look at what happens to different groups and movements and so on whenever a group of communal narcissists become involved. So if you find this video interesting, if you like it, please consider subscribing to my channel. But first of all, I would like to say there is nothing wrong with expecting some kind of acknowledgement for the things that we do. I think that's just human nature. For instance, you hold the door open for someone. It's not unreasonable to expect or to like to hear a thank you. Communal narcissism is something different. Remember, narcissism is characterized by a sense of entitlement. There's haughty behavior, being highly disagreeable. They can be highly resistant or highly sensitive to criticism. There's a lack of empathy for others and a continuous need for validation and admiration. These traits, these characteristics can manifest themselves in different ways. Communal narcissists can be outgoing just like a grandiose narcissist. Both do have similar traits and motives regarding entitlement and power and the need for admiration, but they employ different behaviours in order to achieve them. The grandiose narcissist wants to be seen as the most important, the most powerful, the most attractive, smartest person in the room, and will often behave in a way that reflects that. The communal narcissist, they want to be seen as the hardest working, the most committed, dedicated, the warmest, most caring and compassionate person in the room. They typically seek out and like to have important or moral roles in society. They like to fix things that they think need fixed, support people they think need help. They like to campaign for things that they think need to be changed and can experience immense validation from feeling as if they've made a difference. Now, sometimes the motivation is not necessarily to help others, even though others can benefit from their actions, but it is to have their ego fed from the admiration that they receive from helping others. And they can be harder to identify because they often promote themselves through being committed to what they consider to be a good work or a good cause. Now that could be the company they work for, it could be their community, a charity, a religion, or perhaps a political movement. People with narcissistic personality generally do have a huge sense of entitlement and superiority, and are often caught up with fantasies of success and power and admiration. But they also lack empathy, so can either be unable or sometimes maybe unwilling to recognize the true needs of other people. So even if they do genuinely believe they are doing something worthwhile, they might not be. Regardless of what they're involved with, though, at home they may be abusive, neglectful, hurtful, selfish, and yet still demand compliance and obedience from their partners, from their families. They expect constant acknowledgement for their good deeds, their devotion, and their hard work for others, and can experience anger and rage if those expectations aren't met. To sum it up, they're only really involved for their own benefit. So what would the common characteristics and signs of communal narcissism be? Well, first of all, at a low level, this just might be someone who keeps volunteering for things, offering to help out or doing things to help others, even if that's regardless of whether that person needs help or not. And they can be well-meaning, but they are still self-serving. The self-serving motivation is often hidden behind a saintly and altruistic bias. I think a common sign of this would be if you were to tell someone like that you don't need their help, you're fine without it, they go ahead and do it anyway. They tend to see themselves as rescuers, even though at times they may just come across as a pest. So even if they are genuinely trying to help, I think what we often see is someone struggling to recognize the difference between a good thing and the right thing, because it's more about how they feel about it. Next, there would be the martyr. Now, this is the person who maybe claims that everything they do is a huge sacrifice. Now, in a voluntary role, they may take on tasks for which they have no training or experience in, but they do have a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm, and maybe they believe that that makes up for their lack of skills. At work, they might get involved in a lot of different projects. They may even start doing other people's work for them, claiming they are just helping out or nothing ever happens unless they do it. They may believe that company, that charity, that movement, whatever it is, would simply just deteriorate or close down or end without them because they are invaluable. They may even look down upon or mock others who are involved if they consider them not to be as committed as they are. They may also claim a sense of virtue through victimhood, now either victimhood for themselves or, more typically as we see on social media these days, outrage over the victimhood for others. Some might even use that sense of victimhood almost like a get-out-of-jail-free card to behave as venomously and sometimes as sadistically as they like, because it's for a good cause. Next, and I must say this is not the same as someone who genuinely feels passionately about something, but they may claim to have a mission in life. They may claim to have a calling of some kind. Now, it could well be their third calling this year, but they have it anyway. Their mission, now that could range from just wanting to help people, they just want to see fairness, to this is going to be the hill they're prepared to die on. Anyone else who may have other interests or maybe aren't as committed as them, or selfish or full of hatred. And this extreme dedication to whatever their cause is can lead them to neglect other areas of their lives, even just simple day-to-day responsibilities or even their own relationships. I'd also like to say that communal narcissists can be quite territorial. They might feel threatened if they see someone else maybe doing the same kind of thing as they are and perhaps even doing it better. They can be scathing, question their motives, or perhaps even try to sabotage them. As much as they may have no problem stepping on other people's toes and taking credit for their work in the pursuit of their own virtue and glory, they don't like people stepping on their toes. Next, and I often think this is a good indicator, but their concern for whatever their cause is, whatever they're involved with, is only in public. Nothing they ever do is anonymous. Charity begins with an audience. People have to know about it. They publicly make pledges to support something, but maybe never actually do anything about it, and yet criticize others who don't voice support. They engage in what's known as virtue signaling. Now this involves, among other things, maybe posting pictures, articles, and commenting on things on the internet, either about their own good work or how passionately they feel about some kind of a cause, some perceived injustice. And it's interesting that recent research from the University of British Columbia described virtue signaling as the conspicuous expression of moral values done primarily with the intent of enhancing one's own standing within a social group. The research also found that dark personality traits such as psychopathy, Machiavellianism, and narcissism were significant predictors of victimist virtue signaling. Every time they post something online about a good piece of work they've been involved with or something they're really concerned about, they earn what's known as virtue points. Again, though, at home behind closed doors when no one is watching, they can be every bit as toxic towards their partners and families as any other kind of narcissist, really. After all, though, who would believe that someone so caring and compassionate could really be a monster? And lastly, they are the selfless, noble, empathetic superhero, trying to do the right thing, fight the good fight, bring justice to the world, and make everybody happy. Like all superheroes, they need a villain. Narcissism, by its very nature, is destructive. If they can't convince others of the virtue of what it is they're trying to do, then they will attack and demonize them. Rather than focus on the importance of whatever goal it is they're working towards, they will focus on personalities, politics, power structures, stir up a lot of drama and conflict. Now, in the workplace, for example, they may claim they are trying to do the right thing by everybody, but they are being frustrated, they are being punished by corruption and unfairness at senior levels. In religious groups, it's everyone else who is at fault. Either they are far too liberal, they have strayed from the faith, or they are far too extreme, they are fundamentalists. In political or ideological movements, their opponents are either right-wing fascists or they are woke left-wingers. And although they may claim to be highly empathetic, good listeners, being good at connecting with others, I think their behaviour, their attitude often shows something very different. They're not really open to new information, they're not really open to any kind of debate on anything. So what happens when you get a group of communal narcissists and they all become involved in the same thing? Well, yes, there may be competition between them, but they do tend to feed off each other, affirm each other, and maybe even use each other to earn virtue points. Narcissism, by its very nature, is very destructive. It destroys everything. It destroys organizations, communities, families, relationships, and it's not long until maybe that organization or that movement or that group starts to become so toxic and oppressive that people just leave, and the only people left are the narcissistic types. In fact, they may be the only people that it attracts. But even then, it's not long before they start to turn on each other. When things do fall apart, sadly, it's often those who are closest to them, their partners, their kids, their families, that bear the brunt of their wrath. Maybe their wrath for being exposed for being a hypocrite or something, or for being rejected or being criticized. And you know what? Sometimes they have to bear the brunt of their wrath just because they don't feel appreciated enough. So that's a brief outline of the communal narcissist. Now, as always, if there's anything I've forgotten, anything I haven't added, please feel free to use the comment box below. There are some interesting conversations started around these videos. But if you find this video interesting or helpful, please consider subscribing to my channel for future updates on these kinds of topics. And until next time, thanks for watching.